I believe we're live. Good morning and welcome to the Southern Maryland Delegation meeting. Today is March the 10th, 2023. I'm Delegate Edith Patterson, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our meeting. We're very honored to have Senator Van Hollen and other guests. But before proceeding, I'm going to ask Delegate Todd Morgan if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance as well as a prayer. Delegate Morgan.
Thank you, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could please bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we ask you today for your blessings, your guidance. Watch over us and give us discernment to choose wisely, to do your work and that of the people. Guide us safely home today as we turn to our families. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Delegate Morgan, for both actions. This morning, we are very pleased to welcome to the meeting Senator Van Hollen. And I will say for those of us who are in Annapolis, Maryland General Assembly, Senator Van Hollen has sat in both chambers, both in the House as well as in the Senate, and clearly knows the challenges that we face. We're very honored to have him represent us in the in the U.S. Senate, and he currently serves on the powerful Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. He's a good friend of Southern Maryland. He served as well, and right now I'd like to welcome him to the Southern Maryland delegation. Senator Van Hollen.
Well, Chair Patterson, thank you very much for your warm words. Thank you for your leadership. And it's great to be with all of you, all the members of the Southern Maryland delegation. It's always an honor to work with you, to advance the interests of all of our constituents. And I'm always reminded that sometimes they call us about state issues and we reach out to you, and sometimes they call you about federal issues, and we try to make sure that we all work together, and look forward to that continuing partnership. Congratulations. I know you've been thick into the Maryland General Assembly, but this is my first time addressing you as a delegation. I want to congratulate all of you on your elections, in some cases re-elections, in other cases duly elected members. I always remember fondly my time in the Maryland legislature, both in the Maryland House of Delegates and in the state Senate. You get an enormous amount of good things done, and you do it in that 90-day period. And congratulations to you as you sprint toward the finish line here. I do want to introduce to you, and for some of you, you already know him, but Kenny Simons is our regional director, and really keeps me informed of things that are happening throughout Southern Maryland. And so please continue to contact me or contact Kenny directly on where we can be helpful. So what I thought I would do, Chair Patterson and members of the delegation, is just briefly sketch out some things that are in the pipeline that I think are worth focusing on, because we were able to accomplish a lot during the past 2 years in the Congress, working with President Biden in terms of additional resources that will be helpful to states, counties, and to localities in Southern Maryland. First was the American Rescue Plan, and I'm mentioning this because the funds that went to both the state of Maryland, which was $3.7 billion, and collectively to the Southern Maryland counties of $95 million, have until the end of 2024 to be fully expended. Now, in most cases, these monies have been allocated, but I just do want to ask you to check with your counties and municipalities in your counties, because we are discovering around the state that there are unspent balances. And I just want to remind counties that and cities and towns that those monies have to be spent by the end of fiscal year 2024, and to let them know that back in December, just this past December, Congress made the use of those funds even more flexible. These were the pandemic emergency response bills, the last round of those. and they could already have been used for some infrastructure projects, for like broadband and for water and sewer. But we made it even more flexible. They can be now used for infrastructure projects broadly. So if there are unspent balances in your counties or in municipalities in your counties, please let them know there's additional flexibility, and those funds will expire at the end of 2024. So the other major source of funding that's in the pipeline right now is the result of the passage of the bipartisan infrastructure modernization bill. And there are two big parts to that. One are the formula funds that are coming to the state of Maryland, $8 billion over the next 5 years. And then there are the competitive funds that are competed nationally, for which Maryland and all Southern Maryland counties can compete for. And I just want to talk about those two categories for a minute, because as a result of that legislation that passed, we are going to be able to fund a lot of the Southern Maryland infrastructure projects that were priorities. So, for example, in Charles County, it will now fund, as part of the Maryland Transportation Plan, the Maryland 6th Streetscape. That was $9 million. In Calvert County, it will include Maryland 231, the intersection safety improvements. In St. Mary's County, it will fund the Maryland 5 Great Mills project. That was a long time priority. The other things that are now able to be funded because of that, and some other actions that we took at the federal level, is a top priority, I know, for Charles County and Southern Prince George's County, and that is the Southern Maryland Rapid Transit. We put in, Senator Cardin, myself, introduced legislation 2 years ago now for $5 million that had to be matched by the state for the study to move forward. And we know there's another $10 million to do that study. And there's a request from Charles County for another $5 million, which we will seek, and hopefully that will then be matched by the state. That will be the funding for the study. Of course, once the study is completed, there'll have to be funds for the actual construction and capital projects. The infrastructure bill does provide the state with additional funds for construction as well. But obviously that's the second step, not the first step. The other major project, of course, in both Calvert and St. Mary's County has been the Thomas Johnson Bridge. The infrastructure bill helped provide the funds to complete the study for that bridge. In terms of construction funds, there's about $409 million in guaranteed money coming to the state of Maryland over 5 years to construct bridges, $409 million. That could be a source. The other source, and I know that the county and the state are looking at this, is the $12.5 billion National Competitive Fund. And I just want to underscore this, because this is one of many competitive infrastructure funds, and it is a potential source of funds for these big projects, like the construction part of the Thomas Johnson Bridge. So there's a lot to be organizing to try to secure in terms of the competitive funds. As you all also, as a delegation for Southern Maryland, connect with the state transportation folks to access the funds that are flowing as a matter of formula. In terms of Chesapeake Bay protection, we secured over $230 million in the infrastructure bill to help with one-time important projects. That's on top of the continuing funds from the EPA, the Fish and Wildlife Service, and others that add up to over $90 million per year to help with Chesapeake Bay construction. We are now working with many of you to secure congressionally directed spending, which we've done for projects in each of the three Southern Maryland counties. I don't have to go over them all right now, but we're also in the process now of submitting new requests for congressionally directed spending in the upcoming year. Obviously, we always are working to fund major federal assets in Southern Maryland, including Indian Head, including Pax River, and others. So we also passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which will provide additional funding for clean energy projects throughout the state. I can talk more about that if you're interested. I'll briefly turn to the way ahead. We of course have to do two big things in this year in Congress. One is to deal with the debt ceiling, which you're already hearing a lot about. We have to preserve the full faith and credit of the United States government. And we have to pass a budget by September 30th to continue the operations of the federal government and address other priorities. So we are going to be working to achieve those two things on top of other legislation that we hope to accomplish. So let me end there. I'm happy to try and answer any questions, and also look forward to any comments you have.
Thank you very much, Senator Van Hollen. And it's very affirming to hear of the budgeted amounts and funds that you are bringing to Southern Maryland. And also a reminder that we need to send out to our different counties to make sure the American Rescue funds are being expended, because we know I can only speak for Charles County, there is certainly a great need. When you say congressional directed funding, is that the new name for earmarks?
Yes. This is the new name for Congress being able to exercise the power of the purse without all requests having to go through the federal agency process.
Well, thank you very much. I know that we have some interest in Charles County, and I will be reaching out to your office later regarding housing issues, because I can only say that, speak for, again, Charles County, that housing continues, affordable workforce housing continues to be a challenge for our residents. I don't see any hands. Members, if you have a question, if you feel like to offer a comment, particularly as it relates to rapid transit. Thank you so much for that. So if not, thank you very much. Oh, I see Senator Bailey. You have a question.
Senator, thank you very much for being with us this morning. We look forward to our continued support and your continued support of working things out together through our congressional delegation. And just wanted to say, we had a great time last night at Senate's Past. I know you've attended sometimes, so when you don't forget about us. And just want to say, look forward to working with you in the future.
Well, thanks, Senator Bailey. Unfortunately, last night I got stuck on the Hill on meetings, but I always look forward to that. I look forward to seeing you there. I hope to get down to Annapolis before you all adjourn and see you then. But thank you, and it's always great to work with you as well. And Delegate Patterson, let me say on the housing, amen to that. We are, I serve on the Appropriations Committee, and I serve on the subcommittee on housing, and so we're working with the administration to try to get additional funds for affordable housing. As you well know, not income affordable housing for low income families, but also we're finding, of course, more and more that our firefighters, our police officers in so many parts of the state cannot afford to live in the communities that they serve. And so anyway, it's a large issue. We're trying to increase the supply of housing. Obviously, that would be an important piece of that. So thank you all. And I do look forward to coming down to Annapolis, I hope before the end of the 90 days. Best wishes, and thank you all for what you do.
All right. Delegate Harris, you have a quick question?
Yes, appreciate it, Chairwoman. Thanks for being with us, the good Senator. I think this might be the first time we actually speaking. But I just have a quick question for you. I know you all had the meeting with GSA this week. I know this is not in Charles County, but it do affect Maryland as a whole. So I just want to see if you give a tad bit quick overview of how you believe that went and where you think the direction of that is going.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you, and look forward to connecting. You're right. So this has been a multi-year, over a decade-long process to try to, secure the FBI and bring it to one of the two sites in Prince George's County, Maryland, and Virginia has its site in Virginia. We felt very strongly, we Team Maryland, that when GSA came out with the criteria last September, it clearly stacked the deck in favor of Virginia, which was totally unfair. All three of these sites had previously determined to meet the mission of the FBI, and yet they gave a huge amount of points, 35 points, to redefining mission as physical proximity to Quantico. So, as we pointed out in Maryland, we can't get closer to Virginia than Virginia. That was just an effort to stack the deck. So that's why we included language, Senator Card, myself, Congressman Hoyer, Congressman Brown at the time, others, to require the GSA and the FBI to meet with the Maryland delegation and the Virginia delegation. So we made our presentation on Wednesday. We brought a lot of information to the table that the GSA and the FBI had not considered. So, we're hopeful. We have an uphill climb because of the way they stack the deck. We're trying to get them to reevaluate the different processes. I want to emphasize that, Maryland's site, in addition to meeting the mission, two sites, is also the sites that are consistent with the other priorities of the Biden administration, including using federal funds to advance economic development for underserved communities. Also, very importantly, and I've been hammering this point, cost. The Virginia site is at least $1 billion more a cost to the taxpayer than either of the two Maryland sites. And so we're going to continue to hammer that point, because I think taxpayers would be pretty upset to learn that when GSA and FBI weighted this project, they only gave 10% value to the cost factor. $1 billion is a lot of money, and it's a lot of taxpayer dollars. So we're going to continue to make our case. And we were pleased that GSA and FBI said that they were going to reevaluate. We don't know what the result will be, but we're going to keep fighting. So thanks for that question.
And thank you very much.
So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks all. Take care.
All right, next on the agenda is Robert Hahn, who's with In Hunger Warehouse. Mr. Hahn, is he present? If not, I know that the next is Michael Young, who's with the Southern Maryland Tri-County Community Action. Mr. Young, I believe you are on next.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you,
Good morning.
Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. I'm extremely gratified and appreciative for the invitation to speak before the Southern delegation. Our organization is gearing up to celebrate 60 years of serving the Southern Maryland region. So we thank this body and the community at large for all the support over the years. So in a couple of years, you'll be getting more information about that celebration. During the thick of COVID-19, while the agency played a pivotal and vital role in providing essential services to those that have little or no resources, we served roughly about 15,000 households, about 61,000 individuals benefited from our services. The agency had to step up in high gear to implement and operationalize measures to serve the community. by keeping people in their homes, in their apartments, providing educational services to preschoolers like Head Start, helping folks with their utilities, and stockpiling commodities of food to pantries and shelters. But unfortunately, some businesses didn't make it, but we're still standing. So we're grateful for that. I'm here to talk about what we're doing for affordable housing and the needs of our agency as we see it today. To begin that process about affordable housing, I'm hearing a lot of talk throughout the county about affordable housing. So what we're doing is we're putting together the work of a research project. It's our 2023 Community Needs Assessment. It's a comprehensive needs assessment. We hope to get the feedback and input from our public and elected officials and the community at large and all of our partners to participate. So we'll be having focus groups and we'll send out surveys. So if you get a survey from us, we appreciate you participating and giving us your feedback about what you're seeing and what you're experiencing, what your constituents are experiencing in the county as far as affordable housing. There is another research project out there that just dropped yesterday. This is a family self-sufficiency, and it looks at what it takes in the region throughout the state for families to thrive without public assistance in terms of livable wages. So you'll hear more information about that research that's coming. These research projects will be used as a basis to determine what the needs are in Southern Maryland as we plan and move forward. So we'll be working with this body and others to look at the affordable housing needs, whether it's those who have low income or those who are teachers or firefighters or police officers and the like. So we're ready to get started. That was the reason why the board hired me in 2016, was to take a look at affordable housing issues. I think the community is ready for it. As a part of our needs assessment, what the delegation can do to support our agency now is the following. Help us identify and secure funding to support 2 capital improvement projects regarding 2 central office locations located in Hughesville. These buildings have not been renovated probably since the 70s, 80s. So we are looking for support and ideas of how we can move and advance our plans forward to get the resources to renovate those 2 buildings. The Stuckey building has already been renovated, so we're proud of what we've been able to accomplish there. The board of directors has agreed to explore the possibility of moving our headquarters to Waldorf from Hughesville, and the remaining buildings will be used as our service centers, but the headquarters will be moved to Waldorf. Supporting state funding to continue our four-year project for 2 generation initiative, and that's supporting whole families. We know that if you support the whole families, it benefits the county and the state and the family as a whole. That project was funded over the last 3 years at the state level at approximately $1 million. So we hope to see the continuation of that. Support for matching funds for 17 community action agencies across Maryland at a rate of $9.2 million. Southern Maryland gets about $500,000 of that share. We'd like to see the state support any effort to match federal dollars to support our operational, administrative, and management needs. So in closing, we thank you for your time and effort supporting our agency again. I would be happy to entertain any questions that you may have at this time.
Well, thank you very, very much, Mr. Young. Full disclosure, we had a meeting several weeks ago, and at the time, you did exactly what I asked you to do, and that was to do the asking. If you would be so kind as to forward your comments, I don't believe we have them, to the delegation so that we can see, particularly Chairman Wilson, because he has all the money. So we can see exactly what is needed. You used the word affordable. I'll be quite frank with you. sometimes to make it more palatable, people will say workforce because it is workforce as well as affordable. So do you find there's a difference in terms of the terminology and the way the projects are received?
Well, yes, I think so. When we say affordable housing in our network, we're talking about individuals who have the wherewithal and the ability to be successful with a little help and a little push from agencies like ours. Don't have a lot of income, but with training and education and support, they can get there. But then you have those who are teachers and those who are professionals, who are essential workers. The cost of housing is out of reach for them as well. So we're just looking for support to help those two groups.
Okay, and I would encourage you to keep us advised or informed about the focus groups. Certainly, I would like to attend some of them as well.
Sure.
I don't see any hands of members. But again, if you would in the chat, include your information and then forward your comments to us for consideration.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. Okay, moving on, did Robert Hahn appear?
No, and I've reached out to his office and left a message, so.
I know that he has sent to all of us the request for In Hunger Warehouse. We know the critical role that they play. I think they were before us about 2 or 3 years ago. And let me go back to Tri-County Council. Tri-County Council covers the 3 counties, Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's. So I want everyone to understand that it is a tri-county community group, as well as In Hunger Warehouse. I don't know if any members have visited the warehouse or not, but the critical role they play in meeting the needs of people who are in need of food. Okay. Maybe he'll get on later. Let's move to Perry Limes. He is with Hospice of the Chesapeake. Delegate Jackson, do you have a question?
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I am very familiar with In Hunger. It's in my my district in Calvert, and I am not sure why Pastor Hahn is not here today, but I know one of his requests was to come before us to speak to their successes and their need for the Tri-County Council participants to help them continue their efforts. So, but I am very much aware of that, and we have been supporting their efforts for quite a while, and we're looking to do that this year as well, capital meetings and others. So, just wanted to note that.
Absolutely, and in the handout he's given is very succinct. He cites that the need, they serve about 25,000 people every year who rely on the food pantries, and they support 71 feeding organizations. That's a lot. That is
it's huge. And there's if anyone has an opportunity to visit Chesapeake Church, the facility sits to the rear, and they're doing some great things down there. So hopefully he can get on before our meeting.
Okay.
And it's great to hear that Delegate Wilson has all the money.
Okay.
That's Chairman Wilson to you.
Well, sorry.
Not a problem.
Chairman Wilson, thank you. You are always a great person to support us. Okay. Perry Limes is with Hospice of the Chesapeake, and they have expanded, I believe, in all, I'm not sure if it's all 3 counties, but I know in Calvert and Charles County. So Mr. Limes, if you come on, we would appreciate it.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I apologize in advance. My camera is malfunctioning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you're fine. We hear
Okay.
you.
So I apologize. I did get a haircut, so I do look pretty fresh for this meeting. So I'm sorry I didn't get to show it off today. But the next one. Again, thank you, Delegate Patterson, for the invitation. And thank you for the Southern Maryland delegation for having Hospice of the Chesapeake on. Delegate Patterson, you are correct. We are in 2 of the 3 tri-counties. We currently serve in Calvert and in Charles County. But we do collaborate and work closely with St. Mary's County as well in providing services for individuals or residents that cross the county borders when they're receiving care. And pretty much our mission is to provide care for those who need us at the right time in the right place with hospice. So I'd like to just kind of jump in, being mindful of time, and share some statistics with everyone on what we're doing in Charles County as well as Calvert County. Since we have been in Charles County, we have increased our average daily census of patients that we see on hospice by 150% year over year, and 28% for hospice patients served. We've increased by 185% the utilization of patients going to the freestanding inpatient care center at our Waldorf campus year over year. We've increased a national CAHPS quality improvement metric survey by 15% year over year. We have improved our partnership with University of Maryland, Charles Regional Hospital, and we've increased referrals from the hospital year over year, 21 to 22 by 40%. Since being in the county, we have launched what we call our Chesapeake Supportive Care Program, which is our palliative care program. And to date, we have seen over 250 patients and served them in Charles County. We've increased community outreach and education, as well as expanded our grief support and our education in the county. In kind of talking about some of the things that matter to this delegation, in 2021, a $200,000 bond was given to Hospice of the Chesapeake, which we utilized to refresh patient rooms and soundproof the second floor on the inpatient center. We added a bathroom upstairs and built skill labs on the lower level to train nurses and CNAs and social workers. And there is currently a $250,000 bond for 2022 that we are underway in replacing and securing all of our outdoor doors, replacing and securing windows, replacing a roof, as well as renovating the healing garden outside. Overall, in 2022, in summary, we have served 568 patients in Charles County, which amounts to 28,400 patient days. In Calvert County, we acquired Calvert Hospice in June of 22, and since that time in 22, we have served 321 patients, amounting to a little under 13,000 days of service. Again, I think talking to this delegation and thanking you for your support, you know, hospice is not just a place, it's a philosophy. And we serve all of the counties. We serve people where they are at. Although we do provide care at the inpatient center, and currently we're looking at renovating the Burnett House in Calvert County to explore opportunities of it becoming a wellness center in the past, the Burnett House was used very similar to the inpatient center in Charles County, where we served for inpatient level of care. But looking at a different model, we would like to bring more of the county to the Burnett House and also expand some of the services from the Burnett House out into the county, and we can serve more people in that capacity. That said, we thank you for your support. Obviously, there's more work to be done within the county. We currently service over 600 patients on hospice on a day-to-day basis in the 4 counties that we serve. We are also in Anne Arundel as well as in Prince George's County. But we definitely look forward to working with the Tri-County, getting to know your residents, getting to know the businesses, the organizations of the county, and working together to make sure that we provide this valuable service to the community. If you have any questions for me, I am free to answer.
Mr. Limes, thank you very, very much for that overview and the sharing of services and outreach that's provided in Southern Maryland. I will also note that we have awarded through the local bond initiatives to hospice, 2 initiatives that over, I believe they amount to almost $500,000. And so we certainly recognize that there were some needs and that we were very pleased to fulfill them. Delegate Jackson has a question. Delegate Jackson, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to graduate to the Senate, just so you know. Mr. Limes, thank you very much for coming on this morning. And as the chair mentioned, we have been very supportive. I know that regarding the Burnett House, as well as some other projects, the hospice of the Chesapeake had some pending, had previously been awarded some bonds and some grant dollars, and there is a extension request because some of those funds had not been used because of the growth that you all have had. So we are working on that with our capital team to ensure that those dollars can be extended. So
Thank you so much, Delegate Jackson. We truly appreciate your support.
Thank you, Delegate Jackson. That was the only question. And I'm going to modify my comments by saying we should come to you as well for dollars, for funding.
Madam Chair, I also just want to thank Delegate Jackson for coming back over to the right side. I know he went over the evil, but since he hasn't switched his phone, we'll gladly take him back on the good side whenever he's ready.
It's all about love. It's all in love. Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right. That concludes the number of speakers. There's one unfinished business, and it has to do with House Bill 1037. House Bill 1037 has to do with the voting membership on Tri-County Council per 45,000 members. It has been, Delegate Davis, has it been heard? I know it's an ENT, and there is a need to have a vote. Am I correct? A letter from the Tri-County delegation. Okay, do you want to elaborate on that, or should I just proceed?
I think I'm fine with proceeding unless people have questions. We've all, we had some discussion in this committee regarding the bill before we put it in. Well, after we put it in, but everyone's fully aware of it.
All right, so I will proceed with drafting a letter on behalf of the Tri-County Southern Maryland delegation, indicating our position and the rationale for it. Now, is there a need for a vote? Is there a vote in terms of persons who are opposed to having a letter sent? Is a letter of information necessary, or a letter of favorable or unfavorable? Does the chair need a letter stating favorable or letter of information?
I believe the chair needs a vote.
All right. Delegate Morgan.
I would concur that there needs to be a vote.
All right. All right. Those in favor of having, Kara, are you able to show of hands? Those who are in favor of having a letter, a favorable indicating that in support of House Bill 1037, and I think we all know what it is, who are in favor, please show of hands. Do you have that?
Yeah, I see 4.
Okay. Those in opposition? Okay.
I see 2.
Okay. All right. We will send a letter to the chair of ENT indicating the position of the vote that was taken.
Hold on, Madam Chair.
Yes.
We had more people online. Are people just not voting?
Right, we have to have a majority of the quorum, I believe.
So if people are going to vote for this, I don't even know if we have a quorum at that point.
What I can do is send out a tally. I will write the letter, and then I will send a tally sheet to the members, all the members of the delegation, and then that will be used to forward to the chair. Pretty much what we've done with other bills or legislation. Okay. Is there a consensus that you're in agreement for me to do that?
Yes, I mean, that sounds fine.
Okay, I'll do that today. All right,
Madam
and
Madam Chair, if I might, I'm sorry. I just got a text
Senator
message
Jackson.
thank you. I just got a text that Pastor Hahn is in the room, or he's on the Zoom.
Thank you very much, Senator. I was just going to say for a few moments, Pastor Hahn, thank you very much for joining us. Before we leave out, would you offer information regarding the in-hunger warehouse and the need? Okay. He was here. Oh, here he is. Would you unmute Pastor Hahn?
Yes.
you.
Hi. Can you hear me now? Okay. I apologize for arriving late on my calendar. I had it at 10 o'clock. I don't know how that happened, but I actually thought I was early. So I apologize for that. Thank you for the time. And I will be as concise as I can be. And I want to also thank you all for your service to Southern Maryland. The N-Hunger warehouse, I sent you some information on it, and it is near completion in terms of the warehouse portion. And that has been in great part due to the support of Senator Michael Jackson, the Southern delegation, and at the time, then Governor Hogan, as well as the federal government, as well as Chesapeake Church, which was the church where I was senior pastor. We are now faced with a bit of a conundrum, which was as a result of the pandemic, the cost of construction, as most people will know, especially steel, and this is a steel building, has literally doubled. It is, and so the price of the building has essentially doubled. And we are moving forward. We are moving forward in faith, and we are moving forward in raising funds on our own. And I know that Congressman Hoyer and Senator Cardin and Senator Van Hollen will be putting earmarks into the 2025 budget. They did it, a 2024 budget. They also did it in the 2022 budget. But we are about $5 million short of total completion on this. And the reason this matters to the entire Southern Maryland delegation, in the past, it's been mostly Senator Miller, God bless him, and Senator Jackson in his stead, who have been helping us fill the gap. But we did a study, and we found that 1/3 of our food for end hunger in Calvert County goes to Charles and St. Mary's counties. And we are blessed to be able to do that. But that's why I sent you some supporting letters that actually come in from the other counties. And what we're asking for is for the entire Southern Maryland delegation, whether it be through bond bills, whether it be approaching Governor Moore through supplemental budget increases, to help us close the gap. I know that Senator Jackson, I believe, is putting in a bond bill for about $150,000. I'm just going to brazenly ask that if each county can do that, that would be a tremendous help. There is an impending food shortage, which has actually already arrived globally. Between the price of fuel, between the supply chain problems, inflation, believe it or not, the war in Ukraine, #1 producer of wheat in the world. That's not happening anymore. So food is going, we all know that. We all read it. We all read $8 a pound, $8 for a dozen eggs and all these things. It's what it's doing to the needy is absolutely horrendous. And we are being approached more and more by food pantries and food organizations in Charles County and St. Mary's County to provide more food to them. We are an official regional distribution outlet for the Maryland Food Bank. That's assigned. We are an official RDO, and we want to continue to supply food to our sister counties. So we're really just asking to help us complete the warehouse, which is an entire project, more than a warehouse, but to get support from all 3 counties. And even Southern Anne Arundel and Southern PG, we serve counties there as well. We now provide food to 71 feeding partners in Southern Maryland. We are the largest provider of food to the needy in Southern Maryland, even though we're called End Hunger in Calvert County. I've actually started another organization, which we're now working to bring everyone in, called End Hunger Southern Maryland, to create an umbrella group so that we can all speak with one voice on the issue of hunger.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. And thank you so much for providing the fact sheet for us and what it is you're seeking. Delegate Wilson, Chairman Wilson has a comment or question. Pastor on.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. And that the only person who has to call me chairman is Senator Jackson. Everybody else is fine. But what I wanted, it's not a question as much as a comment for everyone listening, because, and I'm sure Senator Jackson, he knows he's got to give us some bad news at some point because he knows the committee he serves on. All that to say that the amount of money that was available last year for grants, for bonds and things like that is not available this year. There's a drastic reduction. Senator Jackson, I don't know if you're still on, but you know, at some point, I think an explanation of the new budgetary, stumbling block that we just dealt with yesterday, you know, to the tune of roughly $500 million write-down. I'm sorry, $500 million write-down that we overprojected. Yes. It's $500 million that we overprojected from January or December through now. We've fallen short. And so while there are a lot of, we're still trying to fund the bond initiatives and things of that nature, this isn't going to be the year it was last year. I'm not going to blame Senator Jackson, but this is his first year on finance, and coincidentally, we're losing money. But, I mean, Senator Jackson, if you could briefly just explain for everyone listening, because it is important, I would appreciate it.
That is true. There was a over anticipated over $500 million write-down issue that we're dealing with, and we are going to be in a pretty tough spot here for a period of time. So we will not have the amount of funding that we've had in the past, particularly last year, in the previous year. So we're going to have to tighten our bootstraps up a little bit, and we're going to get we got a further briefing on the budget and taxation side that I will be sharing with the Southern Maryland delegation.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Jackson, did you have another comment?
No, ma'am. I was just addressing the chairman
Oh,
appropriately.
okay. All right. I'm so glad we all get along. Okay. Thank you very much, Pastor Hahn, for your comments and for the referrals that you reference materials you've given. We will certainly take all of that into consideration, including the Southern Maryland Tri-County Action as well and hospice. So that concludes the meeting.
One last comment.
Sure.
I understand budgetary constraints. I have been serving in Southern Maryland for 35 years, and I've been here during times of plenty and times of lean. The poor will always pay this price, always. And so, yes, I am asking everyone to be a little bold, to be a little aggressive, to find money where there is not money to be found, and to watch it happen, because we're going to pay this money one way or another. This is the point. When the needy are hungry, hungry people become desperate people, and desperate people do desperate things. And we will be paying for this one way or another. We'll either be paying it through remedial action of crime and drugs and poverty, or we can pay for it by solving this problem once before. I understand the constraints you're under, but I am asking everyone to maybe just dig in a little bit deeper and give it 10 more minutes of thought and prayer and see if we can do that which other people think can't be done. Because I believe in Southern Maryland. That's all I'm going
Well,
to say.
thank you. Thank you, Pastor Reverend Hahn, and we believe in you as well. And make sure that your words have not gone unheard. We understand the compassion and certainly the need, as we've shown in the past. All right, this concludes our meeting, as I cited before. The next meeting is March 24th. And we will focus on the military and military alliances. So again, I thank you for your participation and for your attendance.